Well, hey everybody at Family Pathways. I am so glad to see you again, even though I'm not seeing you, of course.
Soon.
Soon. Yeah, it'll be great to be back in that barn playing for you again some other time. But we just wanted to play you some music to thank you for all of the great work that you do, in our communities and, for all the folks who need help. And just want you to know that you're making a difference. You're doing the good work, and we all sure appreciate it. So we had some songs, and we decided to. By the way, this is Fred.
Howdy, Fred Keller.
Fred Keller, Tim Cheesebrow.
We're the Scally line.
Yep, it's a sort of new collaboration between the two of us, and our focus is kind of on playing historically based songs. We're going to take a whole bunch of stories from Minnesota's past, and we going to kind of tell you what the story's about and play you the song, and hopefully you enjoyed it.
Since you're based in East Central Minnesota, from Forest Lake and points north, I live in Sandstone, Minnesota. In fact, I live just a few blocks away from where the train tracks used to run, which is related to our first song. This is a song I wrote called Engineer Best. It's a song about the Great Hinckley Fire in 1894. For many years leading up to 1894, the loggers had been taking out the old growth, and what they were doing is taking the trunks and leaving all the slash, all the brush, all the limbs and the pine boughs. They had a couple of years of drought, and what they figure is that eventually a spark from a train hit it and lit it up. And it was one of the, in fact, it was a gigantic disaster. It was huge. A lot of people lost their lives. You can go up to the museum in Hinckley if you'd like to learn more. There's plenty of sites online. But the interesting thing to me, among many interesting facts, is that it was one of only 3 man-made events to create a firestorm. A firestorm is fire that's so high that it actually creates its own weather systems. Yeah, it was crazy. So this is a story about the hero, one of the heroes of the Great Hinckley Fire, Engineer William Best, and how holding on to the brakes saved a lot of people. 1, 2, 3. Well, he engineered best, he liked it bald and jack, as he made fast daily to St. Paul and back. And gotta go.
Hi, and welcome to the Barn Bash.
Welcome to the Barn Bash.
Hi, welcome to the Barn Bash.
Hi, welcome to the Barn Bash.
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 To the Barn Bash. Welcome to the Barn Bash.
Welcome to Family Pathways Virtual Barn Bash. Now, the barn isn't virtual. We're here at the Erickson Farmstead in Isanti, but the bash is virtual this year. We think you're going to enjoy it almost as much as if you were here. By the way, my name's Ken Stone. I'm going to be your host tonight. Most of you probably know a bit about Family Pathways. You've seen their thrift stores. Some of you might not be familiar at all. No matter who you are, I think you'll end up learning something about Family Pathways tonight that you didn't know before. You're also going to hear more music from the Scally line and even get a line dancing lesson. And we hope to raise a bit of money. So you might want to find your dancing shoes and maybe your wallet. Family Pathways has been standing side by side with their neighbors since 1978. For more than 40 years, they've been helping folks in the city of Forest Lake and 7 surrounding counties: Carlton, Chisago, Isanti, Kennebec, Mille Lacs, Pine County, and also Polk County, Wisconsin, which means no cheesehead jokes tonight. But we might talk about that Aaron Rodgers situation. Family Pathways has 3 main areas of focus: access to healthy food, domestic and sexual violence prevention and victim support, and also the needs of older adults and caregivers. We're going to talk about all these things tonight with people who have helped and who have been helped. We're going to start with taking a look at access to healthy food. Last year, Family Pathways provided 2.5 million meals through its stores and various food distribution events. Think about that number. 2.5 million is sort of hard to grasp. So let's listen to a story from one woman who Family Pathways has helped.
Hi, my name is Tricia, and I want to talk to you about what Family Pathways has done for me and my family. I guess to start, I would have to tell you a little bit of who I am. Well, I'm a minister's daughter and granddaughter. I'm a mother. I'm a grandmother. I'm a construction worker, an owner, or used to be. I'm someone who helped people get cars that couldn't afford it. I worked with the military overseas for several years. And then, due to the great sense of humor of the great outdoors, I ended up with cancer. My granddaughter needed a place to stay due to the difficulties in her family and her situations. And so I had to add on to a 6-figure income budget with under $1,000 to pay for that. And thank God there was people like Family Pathways, the food shelf, with all of the aspects of things that it is. I walked through that door, I don't know, 6, 8, 10 years ago as a disabled person who still had so many bills. I couldn't afford gas, I couldn't afford groceries in my budget, and my credit cards maxed to the limit. And in a humanitarian effort on their part, they serviced me with fresh produce and being able to select my own groceries and the individual care and smile that made it possible for me to have the best quality of life. And even when a pandemic hit, they had to pack my food and bring it out that door. But because they took time to know me and what me and the kid really needed, they were able to fill my boxes with fresh produce and with protein and with no pork and still make them very personalized. And this year during the pandemic, somebody made an Easter basket for my granddaughter with mostly toys in it. Can you imagine a food shelf doing that and not just handing you a box of whatever they thought you wanted to have? Wow. It's the gas cards, it's the gas coupons, it's the movie tickets, it's the groceries that give us the fresh produce that I can afford, that makes Family Pathways what it is today. It's a humanitarian effort. And I hope that you will look at this and know that it's not just for the person who wants to watch soap operas. It's for real people to live a very high quality of life thanks to somebody doing what God has put in place for them to do. Please donate.
Kathy Wills is Director of Food Access for Family Pathways. Thanks for coming tonight.
Thank you.
The pandemic, Kathy, how did that affect your programs?
It really affected our work totally. Food is not just giving out food to people. Food is getting to know your clients, talking with them when they come in. What resources do they need? How can we help you? The pandemic came, we had to close our doors to our clients. We boxed up food. They had no choices in their food. We brought it out to their car. We could see the fear in their eyes, like many of us had at first. And then the loneliness set in for especially our seniors that needed to speak to somebody. And talking through a window glass is not the same as talking to someone like we are today. And what we found is we miss them as much as they miss us.
So a lot of people are thinking, pandemic is almost done, problem solved.
No, problem is not solved at all. The food insecurity issue was here before COVID. It's here during COVID. It's going to be here after COVID. When we open back up, we're still going to see people who are food insecure and need the resources. They've been getting a lot of extra money right now. When that goes away, I think we're going to see many people that are really still hurting.
Can you give me an example of one?
Well, one of them's kind of a positive, actually. We had a client who was with us for a number of years, and she came in one day and she said, after she shopped, she said, "I'm here to tell you goodbye." And we thought, what? And she said, "I'm moving closer to my daughter, and I just wanted to say thank you to you." She said, "My husband left, my world went into chaos, but you were always there for me. You were the constant in my life. You helped me, you told me where to go for things as I needed assistance." And she said, "I'm going to miss you guys dearly." Our coordinator, meanwhile, went to look up the food shelf that would be near to her, and kind of the tears were flowing, and our coordinator said, "Here's where the food shelf near you is." And she started to laugh and said, "Here I'm saying goodbye and you're still helping me." That's what we do.
Kathy, thank you.
Thank you.
Family Pathways had 981 volunteers in 2020, a lot of them working in the food programs. I can't help but think it was a volunteer who made that Easter basket for Trisha's granddaughter. Family Pathway volunteers are awesome. We can't do what we do without them, but volunteers can only do so much. Family Pathways needs money as well, and that's why we're asking you right now to think about 2.5 million meals. Think about the cost of all that food. Think about what that food provides, not just a full stomach, but something more. Think about Trisha, and think about what you could do to help. You can see the thermometer on this webpage. Can you move that mercury up just a bit? Last year, 17% of Family Pathways revenue came from grants, money from local and state government, COVID relief funds from the federal government, and also money from foundations. But you know who provided even more money? You did. 21% of the revenue came from individuals who jumped online, who wrote a check, who opened their heart. 21% of Family Pathways budget. That's more than $1.5 million. That is an incredible display of generosity. But that was 2020. It's now 2021. If you're able to help people like Trisha, now's the time.
Our communities are changing, but the needs of our neighbors stay the same. There will always be hard times, times when communities must come together. Family Pathways provides a path forward for families and individuals in crisis. Since 1978, Family Pathways has been working with our community to enhance lives through essential services. We have adapted to the needs of our neighbors in a changing world. But we still have work to do. Together, we can give hope, break cycles, and move forward. When we stand by the side of our neighbor, our whole community grows stronger. Stand with us.
The man who is currently head of Family Pathways is Tony Buttacavoli. He's been on the job for only 6 months. You came from the Isanti County Department of Health. So you're all about community health and also cowboy hats, I see. Nice.
That's right.
Family Pathways seems to be the little organization that could. What attracted you to it?
Well, I can tell you from my years of experience in the Central Region that Family Pathways is not only the organization that could, but will continue into the future to help our neighbors and stand alongside them. So that was attractive. I've known Family Pathways as a stable, compassionate, giving organization in East Central Minnesota. And of course, when I had the opportunity, along with the staff I've worked with over the years, I jumped right on it.
People are talking about recovering from the pandemic, and they tend to think of it in terms of months, but it's going to be longer than that, right?
Right. Every disaster we know has a life cycle. There's the response and recovery. Recovery is always twice as long as the response. So unfortunately, we know we're 1.5 years into this, so we can expect the recovery to be years from now.
Which leads to compassion fatigue. It's tough to keep telling folks, hey, people are hurting.
Right. Yeah, so staff, especially in nonprofits, we have to worry about compassion fatigue because they're coming in every day passionate, giving themselves, helping others. So we have to make sure we're watching out for our staff, making sure that they're reflecting on their own self-care. And we can do this. Family Pathways has for the last 40 years. That's a ton of resiliency, and we're going to use that into the future.
The importance of volunteers, we mentioned them just a little bit ago, almost 1,000 volunteers last year. They really are important.
Volunteers of Family Pathways is the largest and most diversified volunteers I've seen in my last 20 years. And so we have a lot of capacity, and I just want to thank them for their time, energy, and their talent that they bring. They're really the backbone of Family Pathways.
Anything you'd like to add before you go?
Welcome everybody tonight for the Barn Bash. I'm happy to be here, and we'll do it again next year, but hopefully in person.
All right, Tony, thank you very much.
Thank you.
If you have a question about Family Pathways, you can go to the chat function right now. And of course, you can email Family Pathways any time of the day or even pick up the phone. And again, if you're able to help move that thermometer just a bit, help your neighbors out just a bit, please do so right now.
You may notice that I'm playing a different mandolin, and those of you who are of a certain age and who maybe have been in the healthcare industry probably have noticed what this mandolin is made out of. Yes, you're correct. It is a metal bedpan mandolin. It's called the Commodium. I refer to it as my #1 model. It's never been used for that purpose. We're going to do a song now about a man named John Koski. In 1920, John Koski was a 16-year-old boy farming on his family's farm outside of Finlayson, Minnesota. Finlayson is about 7 miles northwest of Sandstone. Little town, and they were out in the boondocks, but somehow, some way, John Koski wanted to get his young hands wrapped around the steering wheel of a Model T Ford. The Model T Ford had been out about 8-10 years by then. It was all the rage, and he knew he just had to get himself one. The problem was money. See, his family, being Finnish, they weren't about to start paying him for work that he was expected to do for the family's welfare. So he had to find a job. And jobs in Finlayson, Minnesota, around 1920 were a little hard to come by. But out in Sandstone, Minnesota, 13 miles away, there was a quarry, a sandstone quarry for which the town is named. In fact, the stone from that town was used in James J. Hill's mansions. It was used on roadways all over the Twin Cities, parks, and other buildings. So he got himself a job there, and I expect that you can already see the problem. Mr. Koski didn't have a way to get to work. Didn't have a car yet, neither did the rest of the family. So he came up with an ingenious solution, the relic of which you can still see in the Pine County History Museum. He bought himself a bicycle, a wooden rimmed bicycle, and he rode that thing to work 13 miles one way and 13 miles back over some of the worst gravel roads this country had to offer at the time. He worked 7 days a week, 4 weeks out of the month, 12 months out of the year. Oh, well, I rattle on the gravel on my way to work. I rattle on the gravel on my way to work. Well, a wooden rim bike is all I can afford, so I'm saving up my money for a T-model. Well, the Kettle River Quarry pays $1 a day. The Kettle River Quarry pays $1 a day. I'm a stone splitting, drill toting, handy boy Lord. I'm saving up my money for a T-model Ford. Come on, Tim. Play the blues. Oh, when I take it easy, Johnny, don't you hear the whistle blowing? Said, take it easy, Johnny, don't you hear that whistle blowing? Well, I gotta get home in time to finish my chores, 'cause I'm saving up my money for a T-model. Oh, well, now, hey, Johnny, why do you pedal so hard? I said, Johnny, why do you pedal so hard? Oh, well, my good gal won't ride up on my handlebars, so I'm saving up my money for a T-model Ford. Play it up bit more now, Tim. safety boots up off my running board. It's just me and my baby and my T-model. Yeah, Mr. John Koski. He worked at the Kettle River Quarry for 3 years, every day, riding that bike 26 miles every day. When he had enough money to buy himself that T-model Ford, plunked down the cash, quit the Kettle River Quarry and went back to farming. Married himself his good gal and settled down to a life of fun in Finlayson, Minnesota. Now, Mr. John Koski. Yeah.
If you just logged online and are not quite sure what this all is, welcome to the Family Pathways Barn Bash. We are at Erickson's Farmstead in Isanti. We're here to listen to some great music, learn a bit about a great organization, and even take a line dancing lesson. Really, that's coming up. But we're also here to raise awareness and raise some money for Family Pathways. Family Pathways started in 1978. It helps neighbors in the city of Forest Lake and 7 surrounding counties, including Polk County in Wisconsin. Now, not to brag, but earlier this month, the Forest Lake Area Chamber of Commerce designated Family Pathways as its nonprofit of the year. We are proud of that. Thank you. So far this hour, we have talked about Family Pathways' work in the area of food insecurity. A second area of focus is our aging population. More than 500 aging adults were helped last year. Some were vulnerable adults, some were caregivers. They need food, transportation to a doctor, or help around the house. This area of Minnesota and Wisconsin has always been very self-reliant. But for an older adult, self-reliance is a burden they should not have to bear alone.
Hi, my name is Henry. I have a story to tell. It's not very comfortable, but if telling it inspires someone to reach out for help, or if it inspires someone to support Family Pathways, then I'm okay with it. About 6 years ago, my health took a turn for the worse. Also, my wife is in remission from cancer. Our health issues continue to this day, but what also continues to this day are the bills. You can hardly imagine the hospital bills. Keeping food on our table, not just any kind of food, but healthy food, is a challenge with all the medical and prescription bills. We were down to eating only once a day. Last spring, when COVID hit, we needed to be extra careful. Like so many others in our age group, I'm 82, my wife is 72. Our care coordinator at Fairview Hospital in Wyoming suggested we look into doorstep delivery food, a program at Family Pathways. This is the part that gets to me. My grandparents came from Germany, and I don't know if you're familiar with Germans, but Germans are very headstrong and stubborn. My education growing up on the farm was that you don't ask anyone for anything. You don't borrow anything. You don't have it, you don't need it. You don't even borrow tools. I was told that if it came down to it, we did everything that we could. Families should find a way to provide for it, make do with what we had. It was very hard for me to accept all this help. You have no idea how accepting help by allowing groceries dropped to us helped us feel safer by not going to the store, but also financially. We could use our money not on food, but to pay bills. The food is one thing, but it's so much more than that. I learned many things. I learned I can get help without feeling useless or less of a man. It was okay to receive help or to give help. I kept my worth. I kept my dignity. Today, a lovely couple brings us groceries twice a month. They're so nice. We're on a friendly basis. Never once did I feel they looked down on me. There are not enough words in English language to say thank you to them. I wish there was. But sharing back with them is my way. I enjoyed sharing things with them, like my woodworking and plants. I felt good. I believe they felt good. You can't lose. Also, the food we get is the food we love. My wife makes lots of salads, veggies, and stir fries. We get potatoes and carrots. Nothing here goes to waste. It's God sent, getting us 2 meals a day. Today we can focus on our health and enjoy the nature around us. So many things have changed with us from the Doorstep Delivery program. It's not just the food, it's about so much more. It's about opening up inside to help, to give, to take. It's taking without forgetting and to give without remembering. It makes my life so much better, like a mystery to be lived instead of always a problem to be solved.
Lise Arsenault-Lee is the Aging Services Manager. Thanks for coming tonight. Henry really isn't that unusual, is he?
Well, no, we have a lot of poverty in our area, and his situation, and they're proud people. Farmers, lots of people have lived here a long time, and they don't want to ask for help, and it's usually a crisis or just kind of a end of your rope situation where they finally reach out.
Now, the service area for Family Pathways is 5,000 square miles, so there is a lot of distance, and that leads to isolation sometimes, right?
Absolutely. I would even say more often than not. Even when you go for a ride and you see the farms are at a distance. Even in town, people living in apartment buildings feel alone because it's not necessarily, you can't assume that everyone's friendly.
In this country, the national statistic is 1 out of 5 adults becomes a caregiver. What does Family Pathways do to help? Because that is a tremendous load. People do it out of love, but it's a lot of work. What do you do to help?
So yes, they do it out of love, but sometimes they do it just because they have to. And we have 2 amazing caregiver consultants who work with families, and they help them to kind of navigate that journey and really emphasis on taking care of yourself first. Because if you don't take care of yourself, you're not in a position to care for somebody else.
Please, thanks for coming by tonight.
All right.
You know, I'm thinking about Henry saying that he couldn't imagine asking for help, or earlier this evening, Tricia talking about how successful she had been earlier in her adult life, but then, as a community, it is part of our DNA. We help our neighbors. They may be too proud to ask for that help or too embarrassed, but we reach out. It's nothing, we tell them, don't worry about it. It's no bother. Most of you know a bit about Family Pathways. You've seen their thrift stores, you've heard about their food pantries, or a friend of yours mentions a volunteer who dropped by, or a program that helped them out. We're asking you to help make all that happen and more. Take a look at the fundraising thermometer on the page and think about the impact that you can make right now. And one way you can help is through our food truck raffle. Grill and Ladle Food Truck is willing to come to your event in 2022. They will serve up to 50 people, 50 hungry people, even your Uncle Earl. It would normally cost you $750, but all it's going to take is a $10 raffle ticket and a bit of luck. So maybe buy 2, or maybe 5 tickets. Bob, you look sort of hungry.
Yeah.
Winners of the raffle will be emailed tomorrow at noon, which means right now is the time to get in on the action. And speaking of getting in on the action, this is the Family Pathways Barn Bash, and we're being asked to put on our dancing shoes. Jen Baker, Marketing and Communications Manager for Family Pathways, is going to give us a line dancing lesson. Jen?
Everybody, my name's Jen, and we are going to learn an easy line dance today. This is your basic boot scoot, and it's just a few simple steps. You can follow along at home. We have our wonderful MC Ken, who's going to be demoing with me, and my boss Sonia. She's our Director of Development at Family Pathways, and it's going to be pretty easy, so just follow along. And if you don't think you can do it, watch them. They don't know what they're doing either. All right. So we're going to start off. We're going to start with our right foot. And we do 2 taps with the right. We go 1, 2, and then 2 taps on the left. 1, 2. And then we go back to our right foot, and we just do singles. 1, 2, 1. Fabulous. All right, we're going to do that from the top, all together. And we go right foot, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. Yes. And end with a finish. All right, one more time from the top, just that. 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Beautiful. Okay. From here, you got your right foot ready. So we're actually going to pivot on our right foot, and we're going to face that way. And you're going to take your pick up your left foot and bring it behind you. All right, so you're right here. You're just going to pivot on your right and bring your left behind. And go. Beautiful. And you're going to take that into a grapevine for 3 counts. You go 1, 2, 3. And then grapevine this way. 1, 2, 3, clap. And then we're actually going to take it from the top. Yeah. So, taking it from the top, we go 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. And pivot. 2, 3, clap. 1, 2, 3, clap. Marvelous. Okay. And then we are just going to take 2 little steps forward. And to jazz it up a little bit, I'm going to do a little lasso with it. And so we just go 1, 2, 3, 4. And if you notice, I don't actually change my feet. It's just left, left. And then we're going to take 4 back. Move however you want. I'm going to take 4 little jumps back. You can just do 4 steps, whatever you want to do. And so we go 1, 2, 3, 4. And that's the whole thing. And then you start over. Super easy. Right?
Right.
Easy?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So we're going to do the whole thing from the top. All right. Starting with your right foot. 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Forward. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Marvelous. And then you start again.
Oh, sorry.
Okay.
Well, here I am, I'm busted down in Lufkin, just across that Louisiana line. My baby's waking up in Morgan City, and I'm stuck in these East Texas pines. Had a cup of coffee in her cafe, hoping that it might ease my mind.
That's all. That was great. Very nice.
That was something.
Oh my God. Thank you to my lovely volunteers. I hope you're having fun at home too.
East Texas pine. Yes, I'm stuck in these East Texas pines.
I'm not quite sure what to say about that. I have 2 left feet, obviously, so I'm the guy who probably shouldn't say anything about that. Thanks to Jen Baker for the lesson. If you just joined us, welcome to Family Pathways Barn Bash. We're here to celebrate the work of Family Pathways and also raise a bit of money and awareness. In addition to food security and the needs of our seniors, Family Pathways also addresses domestic and sexual violence in our communities. Family Pathways has a number of initiatives and programs in this area. Here with me to talk about them tonight, Laurie Quist. She's Director of Domestic Violence and Sexual Assault Services. Laurie, thanks for coming. It's so easy to think that domestic violence is something that happens over there, right?
Right, it's true. A lot of times, you know, it's your neighbor or it's somebody you pass in the grocery store. It's everywhere, really.
Let's talk a little bit about how the pandemic affected your work and domestic violence victims.
Sure. We saw a real decline in persons coming forward to report domestic violence, probably out of fear of being ill or getting sick in the community, which, you know, left them without a place to go, really. Our advocates went to a remote work setting, so they were working from home instead of in the offices. A lot of change.
Yeah, talk a little bit about what do advocates do?
Sure. Advocates really are somebody that gives a victim a voice or helps them gain their voice. They assist them in court, orders for protection, harassment orders. They really just stand by their side at all turns.
And you also have an emergency shelter. Talk about that.
We do. Our emergency shelter has the capability of having 15 women stay in it as well as their children, capacity of 23 total with women and children. It's in rural Chisago County. but we take victims from all counties.
For people watching tonight, what's the one thing you want them to remember?
There's help out there. We have a 1-800 number. We encourage anybody going through domestic violence to call in a time of need, and we will be there for you.
All right, Laurie, thank you very much. As she mentioned, there is a 1-800 number. So if you need help, please call 1-800-338-SAFE. Making that call takes an act of courage, it does. But we're asking you to call if you need help. There are many people who want to help you. There are several women's support groups. Nothing may be more powerful than the knowledge that you're not alone. And Family Pathways is also working on programs for men. Domestic violence is a tough thing to talk about, and it's a hard thing to raise money for. But if you think about all the people in your life, all the women, all the girls, the boys, the men, you know someone who has suffered from domestic abuse and sexual assault. We don't talk about it, and that's part of what makes it such a lonely place to be. But one of the hallmarks of Family Pathways has been neighbors helping neighbors. I've said it before, it is in this community's DNA. I know her, she needs help. I know him, he's in trouble right now. And now is the time to help them. It is a tough ask, but one thing about this part of the country, the people here have always done the tough things. So I'm asking you to help those people who right now cannot help themselves. Make a contribution. It may not take an act of courage, but that act of compassion will make a real difference. $100 would provide a night of safe shelter along with food for a woman and her children. And it's not just that one night you would be providing. It would be a statement to that family, to that woman, to her kids, that you matter. We want to thank all the people and businesses who have supported Family Pathways over the years. There are way too many businesses to mention here, but I'm going to call out 3 in particular. M Health Fairview has really put its money where its mission is, in community health. They are one of tonight's sponsors, and they have contributed in so many ways over the years, so thanks to them. Polaris is also one of the businesses we need to call out. Yeah, they have big, fast snowmobiles and off-road vehicles that take people places. Their motto is, think outside, but their contributions have helped people in this community over the years, so I think their motto could be, think compassion. And the third sponsor I need to mention is Midwest One Bank. Jason Gamble is Vice President of Midwest One Bank. He joins us now. Thanks for coming tonight. You are also a board member of Family Pathways. Your bank covers a lot of area in Iowa, Minnesota, and Wisconsin, I believe.
Correct.
A lot of great towns, a lot of great organizations. So why support Family Pathways?
Well, first, thank you. I've got to share for just a second a passion for community banking. I think a part of what I enjoy about what we do is we're a backbone of giving back to the communities we serve. With that becomes, an important task of finding good partners. And Family Pathways is just a perfect fit. We have geographic footprint that overlaps. There's this diversity of services that Family Pathways delivers that just really makes you feel good about giving in the right place. So together those things make this organization a perfect fit for some of the larger donations we've provided.
Because of your job, you're really tuned into the economy, and it is coming back. But talk a little bit about what the needs still are.
Right. Well, first a reminder of where this rebound comes from. The economic downturn was created by this pandemic, a pandemic that grew certain gaps, and it even created new ones. So with that in mind, it actually spells a perfect time to be giving, because those of us that may be able to are finding those in need at one of the times of their greatest need. So again, I just think together, remembering where we've been, it's a perfect time to fill that gap.
You're a finance guy. You often use and look at return on investment, ROI. So what can you tell the folks tonight about the ROI and making a contribution to Family Pathways?
Right. Well, this is one ROI that can't be measured in percentages, right? But nonetheless, making a difference in a person's life is one of the greatest things that we can leave behind. And I just think to spend a moment on actual ROI terms, anytime you can give or make an investment rather in that will return in multiples is a standout return. It reminds me of a prior barn bash where we had a client, a former client, now an employee of Family Pathways, working to give back to countless others. And there's that multiple, that sort of pay it forward that, again, just promises a great return.
Don't go away yet, but we are almost out of time. The Scally line is about to launch into their final closing number. Close our barn bash out with a contribution. $50 would help provide for a man looking to break the cycle of domestic violence. $100 would provide a place to stay plus food for a woman and her children who need emergency shelter for the night. Or think of what that $100 could do for a senior like Tricia or Henry, neighbors who used to be able to take care of themselves and others, but who now need a bit of help. $250 would provide enough food for a family of 4 for a month. Now, maybe you don't have $250 to spare right now, but Family Pathways offers the option of the By Your Side monthly giving club. It's often a more affordable way for you to give. It also has the benefit of allowing the folks at Family Pathways to figure out how much support is coming in and to better plan for the future. You decide how much you'd like to give every month. Your donation will come from your credit card once a month, automatically, and of course, you can opt out anytime that you want. So we are almost out of time. Jason, anything you'd like to add to the folks tonight?
Well, I would just ask that each of those who are watching consider what these last 14 months have taught us all about helping each other through difficult times. And whether that be to give for the first time, maybe challenge those who have given before to consider what they give. I just think that this is, the timing is right, and that I just would add that my time on the board has instilled a certain confidence that I had witnessed through this organization over the years. I just want to assure you can give with that same confidence.
All right, Jason, thank you. We need to thank all of our sponsors, Jason, Midwest One Bank, Polaris, and M Health Fairview. We need to thank Erickson's Farmstead here in Isanti for providing a place for us to throw our barn bash. And we really need to thank Fred Keller and Tim Cheesebrow of the Scally line for providing their time, their talent, and their tunes. It was incredibly generous of them. And by the way, you'll have another chance to see them live in concert this summer for free. Family Pathways is holding 3 events where you can get a behind-the-scenes look at the organization, you can get a tour of the food shelf, get to take part in a service project, and then you're able to grab a lawn chair or set down a blanket and enjoy a free concert with the Scally line. We're going to do that 3 times later this summer. Check out our website for more details. And most of all, I want to thank you for watching and for your support that you're able to provide your neighbors and Family Pathways. It's not too late to buy a raffle ticket for the Grill and Ladle food truck. 50 people in your backyard on a date sometime next year. A ticket is just $10. You have until 11 o'clock tomorrow morning to buy a ticket. The winner will be notified by email at 12 noon tomorrow. But that is it for tonight. Thank you for watching. I'm Ken Stone. To take us out, the Scally line.
Well, we hope you guys enjoyed the music today and are enjoying the whole celebration you're putting on, because y'all earned it. So I guess from Fred and I to the whole Family Pathways family, thanks so much for inviting us into your organization to celebrate with you, and just keep up the great work. We're rooting for you.
Absolutely. This last song is a true story about Mr. Hiram Walsh, one of the early settlers into Bruno, Minnesota, and it's a little window into how rough the logging industry was. In 1888, he came up in the summer to help cut a new lumber camp. They cut them in the summer so that they could use them over the winter. He made it to Bruno. The railroad ran by then up to Duluth. in 1888. And he got off at what is now Bruno, but what was then just a collection of ramshackle shacks. And a few of them were run by Jimmy Doyle and his 2 or perhaps 3 brothers. It's a little unclear. Jimmy styled himself the mayor of Bruno. They had what is known as a blind pig, which is an unlicensed saloon. They had an employee by the name of Blackjack Dawson. Blackjack Dawson, all these people really existed. Their job was to shake down lumbermen. Either the greenhorns coming up for the first time or the paid-off lumbermen looking to get drunk round about, well, this time of year, April and May, when they let their logs go down the river. When the money wasn't flowing fast enough, they had a little method. I don't know what the chemical was called, but they would put knockout drops in your beer. And you can actually find the stories in the Minneapolis Tribune of the men who were accidentally overdosed. The local story is that they would sometimes die over the winter. And when the ground is too cold to dig a grave and the rivers were too frozen over to float the bodies away, they stacked them up in one of the other shacks. Nice fellas. Blackjack Dawson was finally run to ground in 1907, round about Ely, with the drops on him. So, this is called 3 Little Drops. 1, 2. Sliced by a raker or a peavy in the eye. I ain't scared of the cold or the blinding snow. I ain't scared of runaway oxen. But I shiver like a bird when I catch a word about the Doyles and Blackjack Dawson. Yeah, 3 little drops in the bottom of your glass, they're gonna make you a little bit tender. 3 little drops in the bottom of your glass, and that room starts spinning and your legs ain't right. 3 little drops in the bottom of your glass are gonna reach the end of your story. 3 little drops in the bottom of your glass are gonna carry you straight to glory. Well, I met him just once back in '88. I was fresh off the northern train. They had a shack by the track where they fill your jack with a little bit of homemade grain. They met me at the door with a Colt 44 and a grin like the gates of hell. They said, run off to the woods, boy, you ain't no good and we ain't got nothing to sell you. Well, the 3 little drops in the bottom of your glass, they gonna make you a little bit tight. 3 little drops in the bottom of your glass, and that room starts spinning and your legs ain't right. 3 little drops in the bottom of your glass, they gonna reach the end of your story. I said 3 little drops in the bottom of your glass, they gonna carry you straight to glory. Well, late that night I heard a voice in the dark says, boys, this one's all done in. Rack 'em and stack 'em, he ain't coming back and it won't thaw out till spring. Old Dutch Jim and Saginaw Bill, a man that I call a friend. Oh, Rattlesnake Dick and the One-Eyed Nick, how did you meet your end? And 3 little drops in the bottom of your glass, they're gonna hold you a little bit tight. 3 little drops in the bottom of your glass, and that room starts spinning and your legs ain't right. 3 little drops in the bottom of your glass, they're gonna reach the end of your has a million ways to die. Crushed by a skid, or sliced by a raker, or a PV in the eye. Ain't scared of the cold or the blindness, no, I ain't scared of runaway oxen. But I shiver like a bird when I catch a word about the Doyles and Black Jack Dawson. He said the 3 little drops in the bottom of your glass are gonna leave you a little bit tight. 3 little drops in the bottom of your glass and that room starts spinning and your legs ain't right. 3 little drops in the bottom of your glass are gonna push you straight to glory. I said the 3 little drops in the bottom of your glass are gonna carry you straight to glory. They're gonna carry you straight to glory. They're gonna carry you straight to glory. Thank you very much. We've had a blast doing this. Next year in person.